You see, when man is so given to his sin and to his wickedness and into his pride that he does not humble himself under the mighty hand of God, God judges him by giving him more of what he already is. We ask ourselves, how could it get any worse for Pharaoh? How could his heart get any harder when God applies His hand of judgment? Now, as I've mentioned this before, Romans 1 mentions this very clearly. Turn there with me. We've already been there a few times, but I think it's important here to see when we think about human history and times in human history, we think about when man became so wicked that you think, how could this be? And somebody might say, well, if there was a God, He would stop it. And they don't understand what the Bible says. Mankind can reach a point when he becomes so wicked and so hard, then God applies His hand of judgment, and He says, you want evil? I'll give you more evil. You want to be wicked? I'll make you even more wicked. To the point here where man God applies His hand of judgment upon man. Notice in Romans chapter 1, the Bible says in verse 18, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. I want you to know here as we read that, the wrath of God is revealed. I know we say that those who die in their sin without Christ will spend an eternity in hell, but in the context, the wrath of God is revealed. How is the wrath of God revealed against men? By God giving them over to a reprobate mind. That is the judgment of God. If you notice with me, verse 18 again, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them. For the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. There is no excuse for their behavior, because that when they knew God, they glorified Him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, here it is, but have pleasure in them. 3 times God says the things that they know of God, they deny the truth. They deny their intuitive knowledge of God, the things that they know to be true. And so they become vain in their imagination. And as a result, their foolish heart is darkened. They profess themselves to be wise. But what happens? They become fools. They become irrational. They become unnatural. Why? Because God applies His hand of judgment and He hardens their heart. He says, you want sin? You want rebellion? I'll show you where that rebellion will drive you. It will destroy a society. I want you to see, as we look at the world around us, we live in, I believe, that type of society where we are engaging, not we, but the society is engaging in all kinds of vile and wicked things. We live here in an age where people are becoming unnatural. They're saying that men can be women, and that men can be women, and women can be men. They're mutilating children. There's all kinds of vile affection going on. Understand what that is. This is not God. Well, God is going to send His judgment. No, that is the judgment of God. That is reflective of the hard-heartedness where God has applied His heart of judgment upon a generation that has become unnatural. It is the judgment of God. You see, the judgment of God is not coming. It is already here. And we see it everywhere. So, say, Pastor, leave us with some good news. I will. Do you remember why God is doing this? Moses, I want you to do this so I can show my power to Pharaoh. I'm going to do this so that you can teach your children and your children's children what God has done. And I'm going to do this so that you can see that I'm the sufficient one.